So this is War 5 of Season 41. Salty is facing GT40, and we're the only two 4-0 alliances in the entirety of Tier 1. So this is probably the most important war of the season for any alliances, to be honest. This is probably the most important war for the season as a whole, and I am going to be taking Path 2 in both sections. Yeah, I also get to take Boss, so that's kind of cool. I do turn on Suicides. I am a big proponent of not using Ghost of Suicides for Hazard Shift, but when not on Hazard Shift, Suicides are not a must, but very, very helpful, and especially in a war like GT40, you can't really be pinching pennies, rather. I was going to say pinching potions, but that too. And you will see actually that come into play as well. So I drop an SP2, and doesn't kill, but I get to an SP3, so sure. We drop that, and that definitely will kill. I actually do have an invulnerability boost on, so even if for some reason it didn't, yeah, I would have been able to tank that SP3 with actually no issue whatsoever. So that's the first fight down, and, you know, Ghost is trying to face through those connection issues, but it's not really working. My next fight is a Mole Man. Again, pretty standard. I actually do make a small mistake in this fight, but it doesn't cost me at all. Same game plan, pretty much. Going to get to an SP2, chuck it, and yeah. But in this case, I'm actually going to try to get him to an SP1, heavy him for an easier opening. So note how I do this, except ignore the fact that I cannot dex a small little shock beam on the ground. So here, I actually do, not there, intercept, and I do more hits, because I want to push him. So there we go, full combo, and I should dex this, but I don't. But anyway, I heavy counter this, and that gives me a free opening to get a very easy dash in. Really easy read there. It's not all that difficult when they're far away. Drop an SP2, drop another SP2, and we are good to go. So that's the first two fights. Then I have Dr. Doom on node 20. You'll also notice I don't have a Wasp on the team. I have a very, very different team this war. Wasp was unbanned, but I was assigned a Quicksilver on node 41, is that what it is? And I could have done it with Ghost, but I felt that it was safer to use Mole Man. Not to say that Ghost couldn't do it, but specifically with Quicksilver, I just don't like fighting the guy, and so a suboptimal matchup is really not my favorite at all. So I elected to bring Mole Man and not bring Wasp for my 4 Ghost fights. So you'll see me playing a little bit differently here. A little bit less nukey and a little bit more tactical. Here I'm alternating lights and mediums so that I can play with Strike Counter Fury, and it's going pretty well. Okay, sneak that light in. And here is where I play extra safe. I bit out a heavy. I could go off of a single, like, actual hit. Like, I could have just gone off a hit and gone, but I wanted to play extra safe. There's no reason to, you know, try to save 4,000 health and not get the freer opening. So I wanted to play that one safe. And then I do invul up for this fight as well. And this was a little bit after, so it wasn't the same invul, unfortunately. And I did have to clear some people, so it wasn't really possible. But pretty standard fight. I'm just going to get to my special 2 and throw it. I'm going to be using lights because, again, I do want to maximize the ratio of my power to the opponent's power. And that being said, I do end up triggering the Aura of Incinerate soonish, I think. Here, I thought it was an opening. It was not at all. And here I'm like, whatever, I'll just drop this SP2. Not that big of a deal. And he gets to SP3. And at this point, I'm just going to drop mine. Yeah, so he does get a bunch of power from MD. He's probably going to get up to an SP3. It is kind of a time race at this point, but, like, whatever. It is what it is. I have to play this smart and try not to die. That is the #1 goal. I'm thinking this might get me to an SP1, which I can just chuck. But no. And dude's just not attacking me. Like, I literally could not do anything about that. He just wanted to get into an SP3, so he did. But again, I have an invul. Really not that big of a deal. A medium or 2 should end this fight. Yeah. There's my medium for 6%, medium for 6%, and he dies. 2 more fights, and these are a while after. I don't have a tech boost on anymore. I have a skill boost, because I am taking a Quicksilver with Mole Man. This was one of the things that I requested be replanned, so I asked for this to be changed because I did not like the original assignment. I will be taking this with Mole Man, obviously, as I have said before. PS1, 150% power back boost. I wasn't sure how much damage I'd get. If I had to do this again, I would use 200s. Didn't really know how much power I was going to get, so I figured it's better to be under than over, which is generally my mindset with power back boost. Here, I try to parry and dismiss it, so I activate my Frenzy a little early, but I don't need to panic. It's not that big of a deal. I'll just drop this SP2 and go again. So yeah, I mean, it's not that big of a deal that I did that. Here I get a heavy, and I can just send it if I want to, but I was going to bait that out even if he didn't throw it because, you know, better safe than sorry. And that's one of Water's defenders. So kind of fun to beat a friend's defender there, and definitely not one I wanted to die to, that's for sure, but Mole Man was definitely the safer play there. So then the last fight is the rank 5 Thing boss with Valkyrie. Honestly, I don't know why they placed a Thing boss. Maybe they were hoping that we would be stupid and try to, like, I don't know. I don't know why they would place a Thing boss. But I'm going to Valkyrie this. 600k, that's not a small health pull, I guess, but the game plan's pretty standard. I had seen something that I've gone by this twice now in War without actually testing it, but I have at one point heard FinTech say that you're only supposed to get 1 Bulwark with Valkyrie, so that is the rule that I'm going to abide by. And he really just wants to parry me. Like, he does that like 4 or 5 times in the fight, just stands there and idles waiting, but I don't let him, because I don't like getting parried. The other thing was, I was actually supposed to put an invul onto this fight. Not supposed to, it wasn't, like, assigned, but, like, why would I not? And I forgot, because I had just taken the Mole Man fight, and then I took Suicides off, so I was, like, kind of not... I mean, I was stressed, but also, like, I was kind of rushing, per se, because, like, I usually like to take my fights in one go, so to pause with the masteries kind of threw me off my game, and I actually forgot to invul here, so... If I take an SP2 and die, that is going to be incredibly irritating. And here I honestly could get parried because I do have the Bulwark, but, like, you know. So, and the thing I was alluding to earlier was the more buffs you have, the more your Fury is going to hit. And obviously I don't want to make him get protection, so I want just the stun immunity, and that's it. The stun immunity does allow me to hit into his idol, which he does, like right here. That's the 3rd time he's done it this fight already. So I can hit into that if I want to, and I also ignore Unstoppable, so there actually is no downside, but I just don't see the need to. So here we go, we drop another SP2. My SP2s are pretty good this fight. Sometimes I get parried on the SP2s, which is still fine, but not as good, but I'm actually doing a pretty good job here, which I was kind of happy about. Okay, here we go. I also did trigger protection on that one because I had 2 pierces, but is what it is. I'll just not throw with 2 pierces next time. There's also a very high possibility that Assassin makes me trigger it, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Here's with 1 pierce, or 1 passive pierce, and that's fine, as you can see, but then the Assassin hit does end up actually triggering protection, which is fine, because the fight's basically in hand. Yeah, so this is pretty standard. Spoiler alert, I do not die to this last 7%. So I did end up having a pretty flawless war for the most part, and versus GT40. We are currently losing, so that's pretty unfortunate, but it is what it is. We just got to put up as good of a war as we can against the best alliance in the world, and at the very least, we need to play the AB game so we can put ourselves in a position to finish as high as possible. But pretty chill war for me, pretty fun war, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you for watching.